It's time for the Film Crickets with Jay Fortier, Chris Martineau, and Melanie Howerton. On this week's episode, the Crickets are joined by legendary sports broadcaster Pete the Meat Sheppard. Except right now, it's Lent. On Fridays, it's No Meat Pete. Anyways, Jay, Chris, Melanie, and Pete review the 1989 American sports comedy film, Major League.
Get about the curveball, Ricky. Give him a heater.
Does it stand the test of time? Let's find out. Your Film Crickets are on now.
All right. Welcome, friends, and welcome to the Film Crickets. It's a podcast where we talk about movies from 1980 to 1999 and decide beyond a shadow of a doubt whether or not these movies stand the test of time. I am your co-host, Jay Fortier, and along normally with my good friend Chris Martineau. He is absent with COVID, unfortunately, but, he'll hopefully be back next week. And I am also joined by, once again, my good friend and co-host, Melanie Howerton.
Hello, how you doing?
Doing all right. We're honored today to have a broadcaster that he was in Boston for many years, and now he's in Florida, but his shirt says he's back in Boston. He's always in Boston in spirit, right?
That's right.
Pete
That's
Sheppard,
right. My new
man.
Boston Celtics shirt. Yeah, it's. I have a Bruins. How about Linus Ullman scoring a goal last night? So I have Ullman and Swayman and a Hug It Out shirt as well.
I saw that. Yeah, the goal. Yeah, that's really cool. Welcome, man.
Thanks. Pleasure. Thanks for being here. It's great. Melly's drinking Bellinis. It's unbelievable. So this is vodka soda. I will not lie.
It's all right.
I do have water here as well, and a martini bar if you should choose to participate.
Okay.
All right. And Harry Doyle, the broadcaster in the movies, sitting there drinking Miller Lite. And he's got Jack Daniels.
Then he switched to Jack Daniels.
Yeah. So we got Major League today, which it's an iconic film. If you're a baseball fan, even if you're not a baseball fan, I think people can easily enjoy this film. It is relatable if you'll just anybody who roots for anybody, the underdog. You can't get more underdog than this story.
Yeah.
No, what's funny about this movie is that, remember, the Red Sox were picked last or second to last in '86, and they get to the World Series, and then the whole thing, and should have won in 7, we lose, that kind of thing. But the next year, Sports Illustrated, in '87, Sports Illustrated comes out with because it was going to be like the 5th different American League East Division winner in 5 years, and it was going to be all different ones. And they were so dead set that the Indians were going to win in '87. Well, didn't happen as the Tigers won in '87. But it was hysterical because it was 2 years before the movie came out. And I'm like, the Indians in '87. I'm like, no. And then the Indians in '89, when the movie did come out, they sucked worse than the Indians in '87.
Oh. Yeah. Did you ever notice, though, how when you watch a movie like this, for an hour and a half, you become a fan of that team?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like you could hate them. We had series with them. It was like in the early 2000s or late 90s, right?
Yeah, late 90s. And, first of all, 95, they swept us. That was Tim Wakefield's really good year. It was coming off the strike season. They only played like 90. Wakefield was like 16-1. And they beat the shit out of us. Can I say they beat the crap out of us? Oh, yeah. Swear. Yeah. But then we did beat them. They were up 2-0, and then we came back and won 3-2 with Jimmy Williams, and it was something. Because I remember Jimmy. Jimmy was. He said, "Hey, they better beat us. They better win the next 3 because we're winning the whole thing." I'm like, "Oh, okay," and they did. And then they lost to the Yankees, and then they lost to the Yankees in the ALCS.
Right, and then that's when Pedro came in as a reliever, right?
No, that was later. That was later. That was in 2003.
Okay,
we're talking early. We're talking late 90s. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I get them all conflated.
Yeah, that's okay. I understand.
That's right. No,
I have a photographic memory for. I'm the opposite. Good Will Hunting. I have a lot of useless knowledge that really means nothing. you know.
No,
Right.
I think a lot of
Hey.
people who are totally into sports are going to absolutely love that.
Well, like, it's me with music, you know what I mean, or movies, like, you know what I mean, like, especially like 80s music. It's like, boom, boom, boom. I just start rattling them off or whatever. If people ask me things, that's where I become.
Don't tease me. I'll start singing Heaven, Send Me an Angel. I'll start singing one-hit wonders that you wouldn't believe.
That's
I
awesome.
could sing an angel song.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So yeah, let's go around and see what this movie means to you. Like, when you first saw it, and before, also, like, obviously watched it for this. Maybe you watched it for this podcast, but before that, how many times throughout your life, and stuff like that. So, Pete, when was the first time you saw it, and how many times have you seen it over the years, and what it's meant to you?
Everybody who knows me, and then. And we talk about this on our radio show all the time here in ESPN Southwest Florida, even back in Boston when I was at WEI. I mean, I am a total nerd movie TV guy. I mean, so I probably have seen this movie, I don't know, 30, 40 times easily.
Really?
Easily.
Nice.
Easily
God.
30, 40
Nice.
times. And I was so impressed at the height of when 24, at least the first couple of years when President Palmer was on 24. And, of course, he was Pedro
Nice.
Serrano. I don't know, Melanie,
Right.
if you watched 24 back in the day, but President Palmer was Pedro Serrano. So every time he gave an order on 24, I would laugh. And I'm like, I really thought sometime somewhere they'd have a little Jabu statue in some place at President Palmer's desk, but it never happened. I wrote in, they didn't do it, that kind of thing. But I was 1989. How old was I? I was 22 years old. It was my about a year and a half on the radio. I saw it with a bunch of friends. I love sports movies on the whole, so laughed our heads off. I thought it was fantastic, and little did we know that they would go on to become a pretty good team after that movie. Not that year, but after that, they were pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Melanie?
Well, when you first said to watch Major League, I didn't really remember it at all. Like, I almost thought I didn't see it. And then so when I started watching it, I know I had seen it because as the movie was going on, I literally knew it was going to happen before it happened. So I was remembering it as I was watching it. So I don't know. I probably maybe just watched it once, maybe a long time ago. I don't remember when.
Well, you need to watch it again because I think it's one of those movies where you notice a lot more lines as it keeps going. You see something funnier every single time. The second one and then the other one and minor leagues, but this one, I think this one does hold up to the test of time. It's probably one of my top 5 or 6 sports movies. I really like. I like Bull Durham as well, but
I think that's what my husband thought it was going to be because when you said Major League, I think my husband was like, I've seen that movie and I didn't like it. And then we were watching it, and I kept saying to him, because he likes sports, and I'm like, I don't see how you don't like this. And he's like, no, this isn't what I thought it was. So
I think there's some great lines in this movie, which I'm sure we'll get to. I know almost all of them by heart. It's great.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I want to hear him.
It is great. I saw it. I can't specific. I want to say probably on cable a year after it came out. I didn't see it in the theater, but I loved it right away, and I've seen it many times since. I felt like I didn't really need to watch it, but I did anyway, like just to pick up little things or whatever, little details. And I'm glad I did because there was something really funny. And I'll just say it now, just so I don't forget to say it. When they are having an issue with the plane, and Pedro Serrano starts doing the sign of the cross.
Yeah.
And who's the other guy?
Harris.
He goes, "Oh yeah, he knows." But he's reading a Hustler.
Oh yeah, now you come around.
But the Jesus freak is reading a Hustler.
While
judging the other guy for not believing in Jesus. But it's like, hold on, you're reading a Hustler. It's like the worst out of all the magazines.
And earlier in the movie, it's probably my favorite scene of the whole movie, and it's kind of in the beginning of the movie. Get another one, Melanie.
Actually, literally, I was just telling Jay, I haven't had a drink in so long on the show because I used to get nervous all the time. So I always have one drink because I had never done this before ever, and I was a nervous wreck every time. But literally, this much of it is peach juice. So
Sure.
it's not that much.
That's
No,
okay.
I swear to God.
That's okay. I get it. So early in the movie when they're around, Pedro's locker and he's got, Jabu. It's hard to get. I've tried looking online. You can buy those little Jabu statues. It's hysterical with the cigar and the little shot of rum front. But he's like, and they're all gathered around. Remember? And he's like, and. After they're talking and he's explaining why he is the way he is and how he's trying to hit a curveball and all that stuff, and Harris comes up and said, "You ever think of taking up Jesus Christ as your Savior?" And he goes, leans back, "Jesus, me like him very much, but he no help me hit curveball." And Harris goes, "You telling me Jesus Christ doesn't know how to hit a curveball?" And then you had, Tom Berenger say, "Hey, please don't start a holy war here," and everything else.
Yes.
I love that. Absolutely love that.
Yes.
I love Tom Berenger.
Like him
And,
very much.
I swear to God,
Right.
I think every movie Tom Berenger's ever been in, he's got that gum in his mouth, chewing it. Remember him in like...
Not in Sliver, he didn't.
What?
Not in Sliver, he did with Sharon Stone.
Love that movie.
Underrated, I agree. Underrated movie.
Another movie I love is Shattered that he was in.
Oh, yeah.
So I would love to do that movie, Shattered, because no one's heard of it, and it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
But no, like Eddie and the Cruisers, gum. You know what I mean? Like, I swear every time I see him, he's just chewing gum to the side of his mouth. With his mouth
Eddie and the Cruise is way, and then quick story about that. So John Cafferty, who I've met and played golf with, John Cafferty and Beaver Brown grew up in my hometown in Narragansett, Rhode Island. So I used to see them play a lot, and I got to play golf with John at a charity event in Rhode Island, along with Mike Reno from Loverboy, who was a great guy.
Wow.
Nice.
Lead singer. I forget the name. The guy head of Orleans. Still the one. And we all played golf together, and unfortunately, I'm having a brain cramp. The guy, the head lead singer of Survivor, who's passed away since that time. But
Jimmy Jameson, I think.
Yes. What a group that was.
Yeah.
that's
Oh no,
so cool.
nice guy. I heard he seemed like one.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
him
No,
from Eddie and the
such a shame.
Cruisers.
Yeah.
I
But anyway,
Yeah, we'll have to do that sometime.
yeah.
Yes.
I always liked that movie.
and the Cruisers?
You know what?
I haven't seen that
this-
forever. I have not seen that movie in a
Oh
long
my God, I
long
love that
time.
movie so much.
And there's aspects of the sequel that just make me smile. I know it's stupid, but I like it anyway.
I love it.
And even this movie, I kind of like. I dig some of the sequel. I'll mention aspects of it too.
Yeah.
It's not as good.
Tom Berenger, you see how cool he was walking around with his little jeans and t-shirt and his little white blazers and everything. Like,
Yeah.
The 80s
Someone's getting
outfits and
crushed.
stuff. He looked good in it, though. He really did. He looked good in it.
So let's do the IMDb one sentence synopsis, because it's always like kind of fun to see what the IMDb says as far as a one sentence synopsis of the film. So it's Major League 1989, rated R, 1 hour and 47 minutes, and it is the new owner of the Cleveland Indians puts together a purposely horrible team so they'll lose and she can move the team. Oh, actually a two sentence. But then the plot is uncovered that they start winning to spite her. So
Now,
it
remember, she
stars-
wanted to move the team to Miami. That's before the Florida Marlins actually did go to Miami. So it was
Right.
kind of like pretty good hindsight there.
Right. No, it's I mean, they have to at least stick something out there that doesn't have something. It's got Tom Berenger, Charlie Sheen, Corbin Burnson, Margaret Whitten. She's the one who played
She's
Rachel
dead
Phelps.
now.
Yes, died of cancer.
She had, I think she had breast cancer, unfortunately. She was married to that Bill Big Mucky Muck guy. I forget his name, but what a shame. She was a wonderful actress and unfortunately passed away. Pretty young age. I think she was only in her early 60s.
Like 60 something. Yeah, I read that the other day. James Gammon, who played the head coach, Lou Brown, Rene
Brown.
Russo, Wesley Snipes. This is like a Murderer's Row.
Oh, yeah.
Charles Cyphers, Melanie, is the guy from Halloween, the one that played Charlie Donovan. He was in Halloween.
Yes.
As the
I love Halloween. Like any Halloween
Yeah.
relation to anything, he's always like, Melanie.
That guy
Yeah,
who finally
I gotta tell
died.
him.
Did you see the last
Yeah.
one?
Now I
So
gotta go
last
back and
Hall-
watch that.
See the last Halloween?
Yeah.
No. But if you can avoid the spoiler for me, I tried to watch it, but it was just a timing thing, and I have a 7-year-old, So it's always like, when can I watch it? When he's not awake. He's always fighting sleep.
I jumped up and down, finally. Anyway.
Oh my God, did you see the guy? I know we're talking about clothes. Sorry, I was interrupting. Like, it just reminded me of it when they were like just 80s clothes. There was a guy that was in there. He's one of the baseball players in the locker room. He had like grayish colored acid wash jeans that had the little elastic waistband on the bottom of the ankle. Did you see that?
Oh, geez.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah.
Oh my
But that's
God.
the way baseball pants were sometimes back in,
No, this wasn't baseball pants. This was his jeans. I remember
was
those
it?
kind of jeans. It
Oh, I
was
have to-
it was like gray acid wash jeans with a little elastic at the bottom. And I was like, oh my God, look at his jeans. Like I knew guys that wore those jeans and they had like the t-shirt like that was kind of ripped all the way down. So you saw all the side, with the little acid wash jeans with a little elastic at the end that just brought back memories of the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I did not have
it was-
jeans like that in the 80s.
Yeah.
But
It was fun. Anything went in the 80s. You could wear anything and it was fine.
yeah. Well, girls could, not guys.
I don't know.
Now, speaking of the cast, the one who played Roger Dorn's wife.
Oh yeah.
So I look everybody up, who's done what or whatever, and it said that she was born in 1970. Okay, I'm 50. I was born in 1972.
Yeah.
That would make her like 18 or not. She does not look
What,
like an
seriously?
18 or 19-year-old girl
No.
in this
No.
movie.
And,
The one who cheated on her husband?
Yeah, I read.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
now-
after he cheated on,
Because that one?
after he cheated
Yeah.
on her first,
If she
remember she
thought
caught him
he
on
was-
television. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Corbin Benson.
No,
He's
she
a
does
great
not
actor,
look
by
like
the
she's
way.
18 years old.
And I'm hoping that I'm just reading it wrong. I mean, not that I want her to be like older, but I'm looking at her going, she looks like she's about the age of Roger Dorn. Like, she looks like she's kind of evenly matched. She didn't look like a trophy, meaning like, like he's on the age of retirement and she's like on the, the just turning 21. I don't know.
I think they dolled her up really good to make her look older. There's
I
one
guess.
scene. There's one scene where Roger kisses her on the couch, kind of towards the end of the movie before the playoff game, and she looks way overly make-upped compared to the beginning. When especially the scene when she crawls into bed with Charlie. She looked pretty good in that red dress, but.
Yeah. No, it's hard to argue.
But I do remember seeing. I remember if you look at the scene again on the couch before the playoffs start with Roger, and before she tells him that she knows about, they really unnecessarily, I thought, over make-upped her. But that's just me.
So we start the movie with like she's kind of explaining, like you meet her and she explains to them that like we've sucked for this many years, and now I'm going to do some changes. Here's a list of people, and it's great because how awesome is the head coach or the manager, Lou, right? It's Lou, right?
Yeah, he's at the tire place. He's like,
We-
do you want to manage the? Oh, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know?
Right.
What do you mean you don't know? Is a chance to get back? Oh, I don't know. I got a guy on the other line that's looking at a set of white walls. It's freaking brilliant.
No,
It's
everyone
genius.
calls. No, everyone's like, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. Like, no one's
Even
interested.
does.
And then every person on the street reading the paper, everybody is like, who the heck are these guys? Like,
Yeah.
Everybody. Like,
And
I don't
every
know
time
these
they
guys.
get back to the Asian guy, the Japanese guys on the field, 4 times in a row, every half hour, they're still shitty.
Yes, yes. That was funny.
And I love that. Yeah, I love the guy. Who the fuck are these guys?
Yeah, who the
Like,
fuck
are
he's
these
just so.
He's an actor
It's
that
re-
said that. That's
And then
been,
Wesley
like,
Snipes showing up,
middle.
and and then they take his bunk and they put it outside, and then and when they're doing the speed drills, he comes around and
Yes.
yeah.
And I made a note of that. Like, well, that's a good way to get into some sort of like professional baseball or football or anything that you want to get. No one calls you, so you just show up and show them what you have. Who is this guy? Look how fast he can run. Okay, maybe
Yeah.
we'll.
But I
give
think
you
what's
some-
interesting is, having been around, the barracks thing, that used to be like a real thing in Major League Baseball. That's still a real thing. That's how a lot of like single A players, most of the single A players, that's how they live. They're basically in dorms like that, single A ball players making crap money. And it used to be that major league players were kind of like in that scenario where, you would think they're all in fancy hotels and everything. At spring training, they weren't. They were like they were like maybe not as bad or cramped, but very, very similar. So are NFL players in training camp too.
I used to work at Bryant College.
Oh,
and
now Bryant University.
Yeah, and but many years I served the Patriots when they practiced there before Gillette.
You probably met back then. I attended a few camps back then.
I have a side story on that.
Oh.
There was a day that it was like kind of an off day. They usually like the girls to be the line servers, because they're dealing with the Patriots. It's kind of a thing. So I was always on the back. So if I got a chance to serve, it was kind of a day off type of day.
Gotcha.
Right? You know what I mean? But I'd served Bledsoe and Parcells, whatever. And so this was the Parcells era, and I'm walking around and I see Parcells at the coach's table, and there's this guy with like shoulder length blonde hair, but I just see the back of his head, and I go, well, that's weird. Like, I'm not used to seeing a coach that looks like that. That's kind of odd. So then I go about my business and do my thing, and then I come back, and my manager goes, "Did you see him?" I go, "Who?" He goes, "John Bon Jovi was just here."
Yeah.
No way.
I was like, "Oh, what the hell?"
Well, because
I saw the back of his head.
Belichick was on the staff back then, and Bill and John are very close. John Bon Jovi was still there. It comes to Foxborough a lot. So yeah, they were. That's why. That's why, because Bill knew him, not Bill Parcells, but Bill Belichick was the one that really was friends with him.
Mm-hmm.
And
no, it was still like just like this close to not meeting him. Like it's like the back of his head. Wonderful.
You didn't go up to go, Jovi.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't have done anything. Just it would have been cool to see him walk by. But so it's just kind of funny. I like also how the fact that he's able. Willie Mays Hayes is able to stay as long as he was before they discovered that he wasn't invited. Like, it's just a guy, and they grab him and they bring him outside. But like
doing the push-ups and everything every time he hit the ball up in the air, and even during the game, he's just like, "Oh, damn it!"
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the best part, I think, because it's like all like it's showing up, like it's saying. This is my training. Sorry, hold on. I just hit a fly ball. I'm going to do some push-ups. Yeah. And the guy's looking down like, what the hell is that? There's the movie has a really great pace.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good word for it. It does have a really good pace. It doesn't get overly corny. There's only a couple of mini slow parts that don't last very long, but I agree with you. That's a good word for it. It's a good term for a good pace.
I will say from somebody who's like, I brought up kind of an all-girls family. We never watched sports at all, ever. Like, I know nothing about sports in any way. I never watched sports. And so my husband was trying to like explain some parts of baseball. It's pretty simple, but he was trying to explain a couple things to me, and because I know nothing. And to me, for someone who's not like, a sports movie wouldn't really be on my radar that much. And like I said, I did watch this before. Not only did I like it, but I felt like it went by super fast. Like the movie went by so fast. So it was, it kept your interest. It was really good. Kind of predictable, obviously. You kind of knew where it was going. You probably knew that he was going to get back together with his ex-wife. You knew that they were going to win, that they were going to fight. It's to me super predictable, but it was really good, and it went by really fast. It kept your interest in, and that's kind of what people want anyway. They want that happy ending, like you know what I mean.
I thought it was funny when the second one started back in the day, and they're like, Bob Uecker comes on and does the introduction, and this is really the only part I remember about the second one. And he's like, the Cleveland, because the game against the Yankees in the first one, they won the division, but they had to play the Yankees again in the playoffs, and when they start Major League Two. Bob Uecker comes on and says, I remember last year when the Yankees swept the Indians in the first round. They totally that. So they clinched that last game in the first one, and then the Yankees sweep them, and I think they win the pennant the second time, but I can't remember.
I can't remember that one. I know in this one, like I feel like I liked all the characters. Like, were all the characters in the second one?
Yes
not
and
all
no.
of them. No, Charlie Sheen wasn't. Cars Benson
No.
wasn't all of them. Was Charlie Sheen the
was
second
like
one?
Yeah, I think he was in the second
Was
one.
he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was it
Now
second or
Wesley
third?
Snipes was not, but they
No.
replaced his character with
Yeah.
Omar Epps, and it was
Yes.
actually a decent.
It was. It was a good replacement.
Was
Yeah.
it supposed
Because-
to be the same person or
Yes.
no?
Yes.
It
Yeah.
was,
Yes.
okay.
Save
So,
Willie
but-
Mays. Save
but at
Willie
least-
Mays, yeah.
But at least they chose somebody that made you think of, like, this really looks like there was a similar vibe. So
Yeah.
whoever did the casting, congratulations, because I hate it when someone is not even close.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's like Dumbledore. Or like, does anybody know what I'm talking about? When Richard Harris died, they
Yeah.
replaced him with somebody that looks and sounds nothing like him.
Nothing like him.
You're
Yeah.
not telling
Right.
us. Oh, you mean okay? Because I told you I didn't last to watch
No,
it.
the
I thought
actor.
it was.
The actor. No,
Okay,
when the
yeah.
actor died, they replaced him with
All right.
someone that didn't look like him.
But you
or
guys
act
remember,
like him.
Melly, I know you're a huge sports fan, but there was a real wild thing back in the 80s, late 80s. It was Rob Dibble, a closer for the Cincinnati Reds. He
Really?
was wild thing. They would play the same music when he came out.
Really?
Now, Charlie Sheen's character was first.
Yeah.
But Rob was a character. Rob, go YouTube him sometime. He
What's his name? What's
he
his
could get
name?
wild. Rob Dibble. Dibble. He actually has a talk show host. He's a talk show host now in Cincinnati, I believe.
I've heard of that last name before. I wonder. Who
Yeah. But he had his moments. He had his moments, not only striking out people, but wild thing. They would play that when he came in from
Oh,
time.
not?
that's cool.
Yeah.
There is one part in part two that I loved, and it was Bob Uecker. He drinks so much that he passes out.
Yeah.
And there's the color commentator guy
Yeah.
that's next to him has to talk because Bob has
Bob's
passed
gone,
out, or Harry Doyle has passed out. So keep in mind, this guy never speaks. He barely says anything, and he's looking and he sees the ball gets hit. And he goes, "Fly ball, caught." Like there's nothing like to it, like no inflection, just and that's outstanding, But I love also like the interaction when they finally get to the games, and he's the one. I think he is such great comic relief in this movie.
No, he
Like,
absolutely is. And
when
Melody,
he's just
I don't know
sitting
if- Melody, but Bob Uecker in Major, I think he retired. I can't remember, but he was a real life radio announcer for the Milwaukee Brewers for a long time.
The one who was announcing everything.
Yeah, Bob
Yeah.
Uecker, he's famous.
I know that guy. The whole
Yeah.
time I was watching him, like
he
I
played in
know who that
sitcoms
is.
too.
Played in
He played in
sitcoms,
a
many
sitcom,
sitcoms,
right?
but he was a real play-by-play announcer for the Milwaukee
Oh,
Brewers
that's
for a
fun.
long
He
time.
was
Yeah,
funny.
yep.
Yeah, he was super funny.
Yeah,
can't think of the
that's-
sitcom.
I have a
Yeah.
little trivia on on the movie just a little bit. I have like 11 things, but I do have like a little trivia on some of the people. I didn't go into like details because there was a lot of it, but
That's okay.
there was actually a lot of people who a lot of people in this movie were based off of characters they set up, like real, famous baseball players. Yeah.
So two moments that Bob Uecker had that I loved was when he goes, "And this is brought to you by."
Nah.
Christ, I can't find it.
Oh, yeah.
And then the other
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
is
Nobody's listening.
one goddamn hit.
Yeah, that's all we
Goddamn
got.
on the radio. And he goes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
"That's all right. No one's listening."
How
That's
about
great.
when Harris was throwing? He goes Vaseline ball for a strike.
That's great. Oh,
Well, what I didn't understand is okay, earlier in the movie, again, because I don't know sports, but earlier in the movie, Charlie Sheen hit somebody that was next to the guy that was catching the balls, and so he hit somebody and he got thrown off the field.
with
Want to charge
with
him
a
on
ball.
that scene?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
well, that's-
he was. Yeah, and he was like, it was an accident. I mean, probably wasn't,
No.
but he was like, it
Well-
was an accident. So he gets kicked off, but then, and my husband kept saying, you can't kick somebody off the field for hitting someone because you can't prove it wasn't an accident. But
Yeah.
then later on, someone hit Tom Berenger on purpose, and they did not get kicked off the field. So I don't understand that.
Okay, here's how it goes, and that actually would have happened in real life 100% of the time.
Which one?
The first one where Charlie Sheen got thrown out of the game.
Okay.
He had just given up a grand slam home run. He had walked the bases loaded, then gave up a grand slam home run to Coleman. the next pitch he hits a batter. That happens more often than you think in Major League Baseball, and 99.9% of the time, they do it on purpose. Like, you're not going to intimidate us anymore, and they will throw you out. It happens a lot.
Now, don't they usually
I know your
give him
husband.
a warning?
If your husband's watched baseball for any number of years, I know he knows that. So
Don't they usually kind of warn them, though?
Then they'll warn the benches, and then sometimes something stupid, which means if you hit somebody else, you're going to get thrown out. Now, sometimes you throw a curveball, it might hit you on the toe, and they will still eject you sometimes.
Really?
For that, yeah.
Well, how come like the guy that hit Tom Berenger though later on in the movie didn't?
He didn't
because
he fell down.
He fouled out, but again, the guy that Charlie Sheen hit, he had walked the bases loaded, given up a grand slam, and then hit the next batter. It's not uncommon especially if a team's getting tattooed a little bit, for a batter to get hit after being shellacked a little bit, and it's kind of an unwritten code of ethics.
Okay.
A lot of times you'll get thrown out of the game.
Didn't Tom Berenger not get hit though? I thought he fell.
I thought he got hit.
I thought he ducked in time because he stayed.
Yeah, he did. He did get done. But Melanie, you're right.
Oh, he did,
Melanie,
right.
you're right. They can throw you out for intent. They didn't throw him out for intent.
He did. He got down as fast as he could so he didn't get hit, but the guy tried to hit him.
No, that was intent because he pointed.
There are many baseball brawls started because of intent. Trust me. There's a lot of them.
Because that guy didn't get in trouble. He didn't get in trouble at all for that.
No, he probably but in real life, he probably would have got a warning from the umpire saying, if you go upstairs again like that, you're going to get chucked.
Okay.
And then sometimes they warn both benches, and then the other bench who's never done anything, the manager will come out and go, bullshit, like we didn't do anything yet. So if my guy hits your guy in the shoelace, why should my guy get thrown out? It happens a lot.
Yeah.
It happens a lot.
That's what I didn't understand. I'm like, he just did the same thing, and he didn't get in trouble.
Now you know.
It's just and they paint her with a great brush as far as like the owner. She was like, maybe we're coddling them too much. And like the worst plane ever.
It had tape inside of it.
Yeah.
Like the walls looked like they were held together by like duct tape.
Remember they were taping the propeller? They're taping the propeller on the plane.
Oh
my God. I knew they were doing something to the propeller, but I didn't know that it was tape. That's insane. They got on that plane. Tape, give me a break.
Yeah.
Right. But like, I also love how no matter how upset they are, they're not shaken. For instance, they're debating these old like books like on the bus.
Yeah, Moby Dick, and because Rene Russo, Tom Berenger's ex, and now wants him to read the classics, and he reads the Moby Dick comic book.
Right, but then
not Melville, but the comic book.
Yeah.
Right, but Dorn throws them the Crime and Punishment.
And
goes, hey, is that a detective story?
Yeah.
You want to swap? Right, and then like, they're not even fazed by the fact that he just got insulted. They're just doing anything to keep their sanity. And I just think that's so much fun.
But I thought it was funny too because even the rich guy that was on the plane, that crappy, scary plane. He had his little eye pillow mask on.
Roger Dorn.
He wasn't bothered by being on that plane. He wasn't. I figured like that guy would be complaining and everything. Like later on when the coach was saying, this is what we found out. She wants to basically make you guys. This is why she picked all you guys because she thought she picked a team that would lose. She wants you all to lose very badly. And he was kind of telling her like the whole team the story of like what's going on. That's why they rebelled, and took that little poster out that every time they win, they're going to peel off a thing. But it was funny because that rich guy was like, even me?
Yeah,
Still like, yes, even you.
I love when Lou Brown, shut up, Dorn. Then he pisses on his contract. Hey, it says right here, Lou, I can't have to do any calisthenics I don't want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, my God. And I thought it was horrible that they put that red tag in Charlie Sheen's locker. Like, that's not playing around. That is horrible. Like that
happens a lot, though. That's baseball.
Mind. No way. Somebody would really do that.
Melanie, I can tell you stories. I will tell you there is one. I won't tell you his name, but there is one prominent player play for the Red Sox who had a baby from his wife and his mistress on the same day.
No way.
Oh yeah. I just tell you a story. You would not believe some of the shit that goes on. In locker rooms and stuff behind it. It is
Do you think they sleep with each other's wives?
No, I think that has happened in sports. Go Google the Buffalo Sabres sometime.
The Buffalo.
Oh, they had a major controversy there. Yeah, so just writing it down. Way back. It was many years ago, but yeah.
Dibble.
No, I think.
And sleeping with wives. She accidentally crisscrosses something like I didn't expect this.
I'm gonna start getting all this horrible stuff. Oh my god! One time, I was trying to I was gonna redo when we first moved in. I wanted to redo the stair baluster things. So I went on the internet and I was typing in stair balusters or a stair riser or something. Oh my god. The nasty stuff that came up on my phone was insane. It was like people having sex on the stairs. And I'm like, okay, This is not what I asked to see.
Right.
I was looking for stair balusters and this is what I get.
And the algorithm just catches on and goes, this is what she wants.
And I just kept getting all these things. I'm like, this is not what I asked for.
Back in the day, sports writers and broadcasters would keep, no matter what sport you were covering, but you'd keep each other's secrets. It wasn't like now it's social media and everybody's got cameras, and if you don't have a camera, the hotel has. I mean, you can see.
Yeah.
It's really stupid if you start messing around with that kind of stuff. But nevertheless, it still happens. Unfortunately, a lot of it. But what can you do?
Yeah. What can you do? Well, even Tom Berenger's character, the whole reason he let's talk about that whole dinner party thing. So that was pretty good.
Yeah.
But his whole character was basically you knew that he had. Once had a good girl in his life, and he you got the whole idea that he was cheating on her the entire time, and now he realized what he lost, and he's not that guy anymore. But that whole dinner party was kind of good.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it was the entire time, but her name was Lynn Weslin, Rene Russo's character. But when he first meets her, sort of in the beginning of the movie, meets up with her again, and he's like, "I had to defend your honor. That stewardess said her body was better than yours."
And she's like, my body's definitely better than hers.
Yeah, exactly. And they're in the library. And
she says that is such horse shit.
Yeah.
In the library.
Yeah.
Right? So it's even worse of a conversation.
But it's so funny because you think she's going to yell at him because of the fact that that's horse shit, the whole excuse that he gave. But then she's more mad that she's like, no, my body's better.
Yeah.
But who has a front door that's an elevator that anyone can access off the street? So even if even if Jake did not enter and press number 6, who's to say that anyone couldn't just press number 6 and open up
couple of things. One, I have a friend of mine in Boston that has an elevator that goes right.
Yeah, a couple really expensive high rises. I think even Johnny Depp's apartment was like that.
And if you ever seen Devil's Advocate, I don't know if you've seen the movie Devil's Advocate.
Yes, I have.
Okay, remember when they go to that political party, Eddie Barzoum?
It's the penthouse, and not
they go up to the penthouse, not to Al Pacino's penthouse, but Eddie Barzoum lives. And when they get off the elevator, right into his living room.
Mm-hmm. I've seen that.
That was the character was the principal from Ferris Bueller. Well, I think he's dead. Yeah, he's dead now. Yeah, he played Eddie Barzoum.
Oh, we talked about him one time.
Yeah, he's dead now.
The principal.
Jeffrey Jones?
Yeah, he's dead, isn't he?
I don't think so. I know he got in trouble.
I thought he died, but maybe.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is, they made it so anyone could just access the front door by pressing number 6.
Oh no! You gotta have security. I mean,
right. Tom Berenger just pressed number 6 and he opened. Because that's it's not set up well. I know it's to make
scenes. You're sleeping at night and somebody just pops up in your house through the elevator because they just pressed a button.
But it's cool. No matter what is going wrong with Jake. Tom Berenger's character it doesn't matter. He's still not he's got enough experience that he's not going to let this rich douchebag get the better of him.
But I do think and Melanie, catchers are the leaders on most major league teams. They are the heart and soul. That's why it may not be obvious. They may not be the best player all the time, but the starting catcher on the baseball team is an integral part of a cohesive unit. They are the straw that stirs the drink. And if you don't have a good catcher that can control not only the pitch count, but sometimes positioning, even because of the pitch count or what they're going to throw, fastball, curveball, changeup, slider, whatever, infielders position themselves a certain way, and if you don't have a catcher that's confident, you're dead meat. There's not a lot of great World Series or winning teams that don't have a very competent catcher. It's one of the most important. Some people might tell you it's the most important position on a baseball team, especially a professional team.
Okay,
And one of the trendsetters. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's the dumbest question. Everyone's gonna laugh at me. I'm sure.
No.
No, I'm sure because it's bad. But okay, so Tom Berenger was the catcher, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so later on, he's running from base to base, and then I was like, wouldn't so everybody just have their own particular job? So like, if he was on the other side, wouldn't he just kind of be benched out or something, and somebody else would take that place? Like, did they do multiple
No, it's usually the
roles?
pitcher
You know what
that
I mean?
maybe
Like,
doesn't bat. Usually the pitcher doesn't bat.
In the American League, the pitcher doesn't bat; it's a designated hitter. But yeah, I'm not
The
quite.
catcher would actually be running base to base as well.
Well, no, he probably batted ninth on the lineup. They never really say where Jake batted in the lineup, but because he was so slow because of his knees and everything else. Until
Okay, I think I know where she's
he
going.
put the bunt down in the end.
I think I know where she's going.
You know what I'm saying?
They
Like, I
can't-
thought, like, if he's not catching them, wouldn't he sit on the bench during the time where the other guys are running around and like, you know, I don't know. I just thought that like everyone had their own job. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't think that the catcher would also be batting.
Yeah, I know.
Oh no, everybody bats on the team except for the pitcher. In the National League, the pitcher bats too. But no, everybody bats, and there's no
Yeah, and then-
there's no designated runner if that's what you mean, unless it's old man softball, which happens a lot. Then they'll have a designated runner. But no, everybody you.
It's just because I'm so used to like if I ever watch a sport, it's football, and everyone has their own little role. It's like,
Yeah.
Oh, right. Like
You know what I
she's
mean?
thinking
Like-
offense and defense. They're
it's like I
right.
never really watched baseball, and I've only watched like football because of Super Bowls or something like that. So then I know everyone has their own little job. So then I was like, I don't know, dumb question. I know it's stupid.
No, that's okay.
No,
dumb-
you're not.
no dumb questions here.
You don't watch it. So yeah, it's regardless. I mean, like if they were to, they could pinch run for him, but then he'd be out of the game.
Yeah, like when he got on base, they could. Well, they won the game, but I mean, yeah, anytime anybody gets on base, you can pinch run for anybody at any time. But then
he
part
gets
of the game,
replaced.
they can't play. They can't play in the field. They can't bat again. So
You can tell why he would have bad knees. I kept saying, I'm like, to be squatting like that the entire time, like for hours, like that would kill you.
well, that's why catchers, the really good ones, I mean, that last so long. You know, it's one of the toughest jobs in all of sports.
Yeah, my knees hurt just looking at him. I was like, oh god, they hurt.
Yeah, no, it looked awful. I really wanted to add one last thing about catcher is look up Jason Varitek fighting A-Rod. That was like the turning point of that
Yeah,
season.
he won't sign that picture, and neither will A-Rod. You know that happened in 2004,
What's
and
his
then
name?
Jason
people think that ignited
Varitek.
them to the World Series. It didn't, because the Red Sox went 10-10 after that incident. But certainly, they're actually friends now. But that was
Oh really?
yeah. But actually, well, it was in the heat of the moment. You know,
It was the game itself though had like two fights
yeah.
in it. It was like it was raining that day. They weren't
Yeah.
even going to play, but then they decided to. It was like emotions. You know, it was
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it was
It
nuts.
was a
But,
crappy rain day that all get mad at each other.
Yep.
Yeah, but it worked out in our favor. But so like, yeah, so that whole even that like could have been dull. The whole love story in the middle of this movie, like they could have made that kind of like, oh god, here we go.
I know. Thank God they didn't. Yeah.
No, it was fun. I mean,
was
like
fun.
even when
it was just enough. It was just enough. They
right,
didn't
there was like a
overdo
little
it.
banter.
Yeah.
You could feel that she liked him still,
Yeah.
the type of thing.
Yeah.
And then when they finally have sex, like he's like, your skirt's stuck, and she's like, be creative, and he uses his cleat to get it off. It was so funny.
Well, we've all been there. No.
No, but it was just like they kept you interested.
You did. It was fun.
So
It was a
I like
fun
when the
movie. It was a
boyfriend's
fun.
like, stay away from her, and he's like, and he swore at him like, screw you, like no. I'm glad he did that. You know what I mean? Like that he was.
Yeah,
like, no,
it was a fun movie. The only reason why it was rated R is because they had about 5 F-bombs in it. That's the only reason.
Really?
You know? Yeah.
Now,
Otherwise,
Pete-
it was pretty clean.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was. There was no nudity. They had 5 or 6 F-bombs, and that was. Then it added, and that was most of it was in the beginning. Like, who the fuck these guys, that kind of thing.
Yeah. That was funny. That was so funny. And one of the guys.
Do you remember the trailer?
The guys from the series, The Middle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was just really young. I recognized him. My husband recognized
one
him.
of the people in the stands.
The dad. No, it was one of the guys that kept reading the paper, going, "Who the fuck are these guys?" Like,
oh, okay.
Like that. When
like he's the guy with the baseball hat that says it.
Yeah, he's the.
I think he's the one that hugs the goth girl, the punk rock girl at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I remember
I'm
that.
pretty sure.
I remember when they were reading the paper and they were like, "Who the heck are these
right.
guys?" Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the trailer?
Not in a while.
I watched the trailer. Yeah.
Okay. The trailer has a scene that pisses me off because it's never in the film.
Not in the film?
Really? What is it?
Yeah, and I haven't seen the trailer in a while, but it's along the lines of where they're consoling one of them, and they goes,
"That ball wouldn't have been out of a lot of parks.
Name one."
Yellowstone.
and that was funny.
Yeah.
And they didn't put it in the movie, so it's like, don't put it in the trailer.
Yeah.
And then you like constantly waiting for that scene, and you're like, "Where the hell is it?"
Yeah.
Well, I also know that former Red Sox manager John Farrell was in one of the scenes that was cut out. He was a player at the time, for Cleveland, and they cut him out. There was a scene there that they cut him out. I know that was one of them.
There was a few deleted scenes and a couple alternate endings too.
Yeah, I watched one of the alternate endings today.
I have that in here for the TMI.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
One of them. I don't know if there was more than one, but
I saw one where the owner, kind of comes full circle and is like, "Oh, I was doing this on purpose because to motivate the team," that kind of thing. Is that what happened? Yeah.
Yeah, she said I guess that's what they were saying, but then they were like, no, I guess they liked her being bitchy or something, and so they they cut it out. But it's on the Wild Thing Edition DVD. It said.
Okay.
So if you get that, you can see it on that.
Yeah, I saw the guy say that it tested well, the alternate ending, but they also realized that people liked to hate her throughout the movie. Yeah. So that's why they decided to. Yeah. Because they have actual footage of her with Charlie rooting, because she's dancing to Wild Thing.
Yeah.
And they had to cut all that out and show her.
Yeah.
All angry.
They said they liked her bitchy persona. They liked the way she was.
Right.
Yeah,
so we end up, we already talked about how they end up pretty much winning the, getting into the playoffs. So let's do TMI. I mean, pretty much we covered everything.
Yeah.
Right? All right.
It's time for TMI with Melanie.
Listen to this. I am in the bathroom right before the movie starts. And I'm in the stall, and there's no toilet paper.
And mine are at home in a display case above my bed. TMI, my friends.
TMI? Too much information. Don't go there, but that's lame.
Now, here's Melanie with your timeless movie info.
All right, Melanie, bring the heater.
Okay. So the budget for the film was $11 million, and it grossed $75 million. And Randy Newman did some of the music, which I had to say because I recognized his voice immediately. Like, I didn't even know. I'm horrible because I didn't know his name, but I know that guy. And as soon as the songs were on there, I'm like, I know that's the same guy that did the Toy Story. And I had to look it up, and it was. I just had to mention him because
he did a lot. He's done a lot of stuff. Yeah. I mean, he had a really funny song in the 70s called "Short People," which a lot of people won't play anymore.
I remember that song.
Yeah,
I remember his voice is so it's just it's so recognizable.
I love L.A.
He did Meet the Parents too. He was in Meet the Parents or Meet the Fockers. I forget which one. He's done so many movies. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, when I looked him up on Wikipedia, it was like the list just went on forever. Yeah, so I had to mention him. Former Major League catcher Steve Yeager served as coach and technical advisor for the actors in training for the movie, and also serving as a stunt double for Tom Berenger in many scenes. It says, for many of the wide crowd scenes of the playoff game, there were over 20,000 extras in the stands when the team first ran onto the field with the crowd roaring. Dennis Haysbert admitted to being emotionally overwhelmed by the experience And Steve Yeager noticed his reaction, and he said to him, "That's what it's like 162 times a year."
Yeah, Steve was a great catcher for the Dodgers. He and Mike Sosa were a big tandem in the 70s under Tommy Lasorda's crew, and so that was a good get for them.
Yeah, that was pretty cool that they used somebody that really knew what they were doing to make it look as real as possible. Where this in the scene where Jake invades Lynn's party, one of the guests asks how much Jake makes in the majors. And he replies, "I make the league minimum." And they kind of looked at him like he was just like a piece of crap. Yep. Like, she was like, "Oh, how much do you make? Like, are you rich?" kind of a look, like she looked like she was kind of hitting on him. And when he was like, I make the league minimum, she kind of just looked at him like he was trash. And but it says,
I make $3.65 an hour.
Yeah.
Well, the league minimum in 1989 was $68,000 average.
Yep.
And the average income in 1990 was roughly $30,000. So he was like literally making like double the average household income. So he was actually doing pretty damn good. But she looked at him like, "Oh, that's nothing," Charlie Sheen was a high school pitcher who was offered a baseball scholarship to the University of Kansas. And in the movie, he threw 101
miles per hour.
Thank you. I was trying to think, like, how do you say it? Fastball. But in reality, Charlie Sheen could throw in the high 80s. This made it easier to simulate the fastball in film.
No, I read about that. I mean, that's one of the reasons why they chose him, because of his athletic building, because he was a pretty good pitcher, back in the day.
Yeah. And then it said that he admitted to Sports Illustrated that he took steroids to prepare for his role. On the movie, he believed that the steroids caused him to increase his fastball to 85 miles per hour.
Well, that was worth it.
Yeah. According to David S. Ward, Wesley Snipes was not a very good skilled baseball player in real life, never having played much of it before. Ward said that Snipes was so awful at throwing the baseball that he did not have any scenes of him throwing the ball. I did the trivia first before I watched the movie, and I was like, yeah, there's nothing of him in here throwing the ball.
No, there's one of him making catch in the playoff game.
This is weird too, right?
Yeah. There's one of him in the playoff game, in the last game of the season, where he's running towards the fence. He robs a home run.
He does the basket catch. Also.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't ever fucking do it again.
Nice catch, Mays. Don't ever fucking do that again.
Yeah.
This is weird, though, because I don't know if he didn't like doing this movie. It said that Wesley Snipes considers The Fan made years later his first baseball movie, which is kind of weird because this is such a huge baseball movie.
That movie sucked. And I don't know how they suckered Robert De Niro into being in that. It was a remake, first of all. And I don't know how they suckered Robert De Niro, who occasionally does a really bad movie. That was a bad movie, and that movie sucked. And it has not, and he played for the Giants, if I remember correctly. And it was just baseball had nothing to do with it. And he's full of shit.
Baseball had nothing to do with it, so it was kind of weird that he said that, because I feel like it was kind of a dig to this movie. You know what I mean? Like, if he can.
You know why? Because he wasn't the star of that movie in Major League, but he was kind of like, then a couple of years later he came into his own. Before he went to jail for income tax evasion, he was a star of that movie, Oh,
yeah, you're right, because he was a star.
And then he played for the California Penal League.
Yes, he did.
All right, so it says the Rachel Phelps character and her plan to move the Indians was inspired by a real-life Minnesota Twins owner, Calvin Griffith, in the 1970s. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the characters in this movie were based off of actual baseball players from other teams. The movie was followed up by the first sequel, Major League 2. 1 year after the sequel's release, the real-life Cleveland Indians would actually win their first American League pennant since 1954. And here's a cute one. In the opening titles that you can see the name Higbee's on a downtown building sign, this is the same department store and A Christmas Story in 1983.
Yep.
That's it.
That's awesome.
All right.
That's great stuff. That's great stuff.
And one last thing we got to do, it's real quick. It's called Final Judgment. So we always talk about how well it holds up today. Here we go.
It's time now for Final Judgment. Are you ready to rubber stamp this bitch? Here's the Final Judgment.
All right. It's time for Final Judgment. It's the time where we talk about how well the movie holds up today. And let's go with, we'll start with Pete.
Except for the scene where I believe that Tom Berenger is on a rotary phone, it holds up great. But that scene cracks me up. I was like, oh no. But yeah, it was on a rotary payphone back then. No cell phones back then. Hard to believe. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think it really holds up. I think most people have never seen it, or even don't really are a fan of baseball, would enjoy it, because I think the characters are. It's a great blend of young and old and middle. I think it really stands up.
Mm-hmm.
Melanie?
Okay, so like I said, I didn't remember it really when you first told me to watch it, and I was remembering it as I was watching it. So I know I had seen it at some point, but I thought it went by really fast, and all the characters were amazing, and even though it was predictable, super predictable, it was a really good movie, and I enjoyed it a lot. So I think that anybody that likes baseball, even like you said, even if they don't, I'm not a sports person really, but I love the movie. So I think if I like it right there, and I think it holds up for sure. I think anybody would enjoy watching it.
Well, Melanie, one recommendation I have for you is I don't know if you've ever seen, it's another 80s movie, 86, Hoosiers. That is my favorite sports movie of all time. That's a true story, based on a true story of the 1954 high school basketball team, very dinky town. And Gene Hackman is in it, and is fantastic. And that's a movie where that holds up too. I think I bet your husband has seen it.
Was somebody dying of cancer in that?
No, nothing about that. Nothing like that at all. Nope. Okay. But it is a fantastic movie. It's probably my all-time favorite sports movie. Is that I watch it every year before March Madness, before the NCAA tournament begins, and still gives me goosebumps.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you spell that, by the way?
Hoosiers, Hoosiers. So like the Indiana Hoosiers at IU, the college, Indiana University. That's their nickname, but because everybody in Indiana plays basketball, it's the Indiana high school basketball tournament. Back in the day, every single school qualified. Hundreds qualified for the tournament, and they just narrow it down. And this was a really, really small, tiny school that ended up winning the whole thing. It's the ultimate David versus Goliath story.
Yeah, I'm sure my husband has seen it. I'll ask him about it. Yep. I wrote it down.
Yep.
It's hard. It's hard. A lot of sports movies really, really tug at the heartstrings. So, this one here, I absolutely think it holds up, and I'm going to use Melanie as the example of someone who's not into sports that much, who watches it and still walks away going, "That was awesome. That was a lot of fun," And so if it can reach somebody this many years later that barely remembers watching it in the first time, then I say it absolutely holds up for just that reason alone. So I'll go with that.
It wasn't boring at all. Like I said, it went by so fast.
Yes.
So, that was our show, and I'd like to thank Pete Sheppard for joining us today. And if you want to remind people how to find you.
Yeah, I do Afternoon Drive, Sheeman and Sheppard, 2 to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday here at ESPN Southwest Florida. We have one of the top-rated shows. And even if you don't like sports, Melanie, trust me, you will like our show. We talk about a lot of shit. We talk about television, movies, food, all sorts of really interesting stuff. So it's really good. I think there's something in it for everyone. You'll be very entertained. And so check it out at ESPNSouthwestFlorida.com. Listen live, link on the app if you're not down, obviously, in this area. So thank you. It was a pleasure being on. Let's do this again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
I'd like to thank Steve Lavoie for our vocal imaging and Draco and the Malfoys for our theme music. And I'd like to ask people to please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Be sure to hit the bell icon to get notified whenever we release a new episode. And tell your friends, please. And my name is Jay Fortier. On the behalf of the absent Chris Martineau and also Melanie Howerton, I'd like to thank you again for joining us here on the Film Crickets. And until next time, movies may not age like fine wine, but we drink it anyway. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Film Cricket, chirping about movies.